What is up, alphas? Today we're here with Erin from 𝔸𝕚𝕚𝕚𝕚𝕚. Hello, Erin from 𝔸𝕚𝕚𝕚𝕚𝕚. Hello. And Erin, when you have not been in HAA as long as some of the other alphas that we've interviewed, you're actually one of our new-ish alphas. How long have you been with us?
I think it's been, I think I joined in December of 2020. December
2020?
It's
Okay.
been, a little over a year.
And you started your shop in 2019. So you were even newer. Your shop was newer when you joined us, right?
Yeah, I opened my shop in August of 2019. At the time, I wasn't selling my greeting cards, what I'm selling now.
Oh, okay.
I started like January of 2020 selling what I sell now. So it hadn't even
Got
been
it.
like a full year whenever I joined that I had been
Right.
selling the greeting cards.
Awesome. So for all of our alphas who don't know, she sells greeting cards, but do you want to share what type of greeting cards and what makes them so unique?
Yeah, I sell, they're punny, cute greeting. Actually, I have a couple next to me just in case you asked me to
Perfect.
they are like, this is one of my newer ones. It's got a little goat on it with a
Oh,
cupcake. The
I love it.
cupcake is 3D, and it says, "Heard it was your birthday. Happy birthday to the goat."
it's so
Um,
cute.
just little things like that. Like I have a little crepe that says, "Another birthday has crept up on you." We all have like little 3D elements. You're like a chameleon years old now.
I
Um,
love that. I
yeah,
love it.
they puns were like huge growing up in my family. We always try to like out pun each other basically. Like our text strings are like forever long, like just trying to out pun each other. And so it was just a no-brainer because they just came really easily to me, and I'm all about family and connections, and greeting cards like connect everybody, if they're across the country, across the world. We've held the same greeting card, we've laughed at the same jokes and everything, and that's like, it's a real connection. So it was like a no-brainer for me to do
That's so
it.
perfect.
That's awesome. That's like best case scenario to start a shop with something that like you care about, something that you've been doing your whole life that you have a personal connection to. I love that.
Yeah, and that's something that all of the alpha interviews that we've done have had in common. A lot of times Etsy sellers are like, "Oh, I sell this thing because I already knew how to make it," and like, okay, that's cool and all, but where's the passion? Like what's the
Yeah,
message? And what you just said is the message. You're connecting people. It's not just, "Oh, I sell greeting cards because
Mm-hmm.
I know how to make cards." You are actually bringing
yeah.
value to people's lives.
And I love the shirt you've got with your little mushroom
Yeah,
character
it's got
on
a
it. I
little
love that.
mushrooms on it. Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
cute.
That's the next phase of my
Oh,
shop. So
okay, cool.
Awesome. So one thing that I want to point out with your cards in particular and having all of your cute characters is that we see a lot of Etsy sellers who are like, "Oh, I can't be successful doing, characters that people don't recognize. I need to do like Mickey Mouse. I need to do characters that people are already familiar with." And you have your own little line of super cute characters that are recognizable. How do you feel that has like helped you or made you stand out? Because in that short time that you've been open, you have a lot of sales.
um not as many as I'd like, but yeah, my shop has grown a lot within the past few months. HAA has been like amazing. When you actually implement it and do what you're supposed to. But the character, glad you said it worked. Um, so the characters, to be honest, I suck at drawing. Like I suck at drawing. Okay. And so what I draw on my cards is basically the best I can do, and I used it to my advantage. And so the characters, every character that's well known starts somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
They're always
absolutely.
like unknown somewhere, and so um, that's just how you have to view it. I love drawing this. This is super cute. It's funny to me. My target audience loves them. And that's all that matters, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if,
Absolutely.
the vast majority of people know who the characters are. The puns help too. So it's not just relying on just the characters to begin with. I do have stickers too that are just the characters, but I have put little puns on them. So the puns with the characters, I think, makes a big difference. But they just come to me and I love them. If they look terrible, then I don't use them. But like I said, I'm not that great at drawing or anything. So I just use it to my advantage and used it as like a little childlike characters and drawings rather than, just trying to be super fancy and stuff, because I can't do that.
Well, I think that there's something charming about how minimalist that they are, because they all fit together. You have a very specific style where you see them and they all make sense. If you were to have your own cartoon, it wouldn't be like one of the characters is completely different. They all feel like they live within their own little brand planet. Even your logo, which is super duper cute. I'll make sure to show the alphas everything. Like we'll edit it in. We'll edit it into the video. But everything is super cohesive, even with your themes being different. And I mean, I'm sure that especially in HAA, I talk about having like cohesive backgrounds and having similar backgrounds. But in your case, it's not necessarily the backgrounds that are all the same. You have really mastered this art of making everything cohesive, but different in a way that it's also the same. So it matches even when it is different, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
I was terrified. Whenever I joined, I already kind of had the different backgrounds and I was in love with them. Like, it was just one of those gut feelings that like, I just really love the idea. Either finding backgrounds that have what's on the card, or if I can't find anything, then what occasion it's for, like birthday party or flowers for Mother's Day or something like that. And I had already started doing that when I started, and going through HAA, I was like, oh man, she's gonna tell me that I have to like change all my photos, that I can't, do the wild backgrounds and stuff. And so when I made this post, I don't even know if you remember, I posted it and it was the ice cream card, and it had the background it was like teal background with like, cones on it in the background. It was kind of like bright. And then I had next to it, another one with like a neutral background. And I was like, oh my God, she's going to tell me I need to do the neutral. Like, I hate it. I'm like, even if she tells me she doesn't like it, I'm like, I may do it anyway. Just because I felt so like passionate about, like, that's what I want my shop to be. I want it to be bright. I want it to be not like everybody else's.
Exactly.
I want my shop different. It's greeting cards. They have to stand out somehow. White backgrounds obviously don't work because they're white.
Exactly.
So I made it to where, the backgrounds are loud, but I zoom in enough on the photo, on the cards, that it kind of, your focus is still on the card and not the loud background. And at the same time, my shop still stays bright and cheery and everything. Like, it's such a big deal to me because even my customers have mentioned the pictures and how much they love them. And so when that happens, you're like, oh, I totally have done the right thing. Like, there's no doubt about it, that I haven't done the right thing. And so it validates all your choices.
Absolutely. So. And the thing is, cohesive, I think that a lot of people assume that cohesive means everything has to be, the same, or that the backgrounds all have to be identical. And that's not necessarily the case. It's more that there has to be something that ties everything together, so that even when things are chaotic, they're chaotic in a styled way, if that makes sense. Yeah. And with your cards, even though you have the really, different backgrounds, some of them, like the tomatoes background, it's like you've got tomatoes with the black background, and then you've got some of the the brighter cards, like you said, with the ice cream, where it's more colorful. The cards themselves are always styled in the same position. So when you're actually in your storefront, your eyes just flow. And like you said, you're focusing more on the character itself. Whereas I see a lot of people who sell cards and they have the card, but then they have, you know, their camera is way up here and there's tons of items all sprinkled around. And you're like, what are you even selling? Are you, what is it?
It's thematic and relevance to the shop. Like it doesn't have one overarching theme, but the shop has its theme, and everything that you post as far as pictures is relevant to the image that you're trying to portray. So it works out perfect.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you enjoyed your time going through HAA. So what actually made you decide that you wanted to join HAA?
Starla. If I'm being honest, seriously, you are seriously passionate about what you do. You care about what you do. You care about the people who follow you, and you are honest. You're an honest person, and people appreciate that, myself included. I appreciate honest, hardworking people. I had no freaking clue what I was doing. But I found y'all like super early on. I'm a lucky one. Like I hear, you know, horror stories about people, you know, paying all these other people all this money and finding all these other toxic groups. And I'm like, your group is the first group I found. You're the first person I found. I don't know how it happened, just serendipity, you know. So I've only been surrounded by you and your people are awesome people. They're supportive people. They are not judgmental people. They want, you know, even though they're your competition, they're still helping you anyway. Like, where do you find that? You don't find that anywhere else. So I'm like, I need to see what else there is. And at the time, I wanted to join like in that first June, but I didn't have the money. We're always tight on money. And I was like super bummed. I wanted to join that December, and it looked like I wasn't even gonna be able to join that December either, just because we just didn't have the money. And miraculously, my boss gave us bonuses that year. And I was like, hey, you know, talked to my husband about it. I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And he was like, go for it. Like, he's been super supportive from the very beginning. He works his butt off to provide for our family. Right now, I'm not working. I'm doing shop, but I have kids at home and I'm homeschooling and stuff. So I don't really have another job anymore. But even now, he's like, don't go out and try and find a job. Do what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing because you're trying really hard and you love what you're doing.
Aww.
One of us needs to love what we're doing. Even if it's not me, it's you. You love what you're doing, so keep doing it. So he's like been super supportive about everything, but it was just, yeah, you and the atmosphere that you have grown around you, the crowd of people you have grown around you. It's like everybody just gravitates towards you because, you know, of who you are. And then, you know, Mark's just a bonus. Awesome. We know Starla, you know, we don't get to know Mark, you know, from the beginning. And but no, like I'm super happy that you started to like be more and stuff, because when I first started, you were just kind of like in the background and stuff. She would talk about you, but we never like saw you or anything.
Right. I wasn't sure what kind of role I wanted to play in it yet, what kind of role she wanted me to play in it. I didn't want to be invasive into it.
We also had this issue where, like, with he's always on the Friday Bean, and we've been doing the Friday Bean. I mean, before it was Friday Bean, it was called Friday Q&A, and before Friday Q&A, it was called Tech Friday. Mm-hmm. And we've been doing that for going on 5 years now. But I think that one of the biggest issues was that we had a lot of people who were like, oh, who's this guy? I don't like this guy, you know, and and
So
they're
we just kind of forced it and made them go away.
yeah, it got to the point where like first we were super nervous to have Mark on, just because there were a lot of people who are like, I'm not here to listen to this guy. The channel is called Starla Moore. That's not Starla Moore. And we just had jerks on there. But yeah, now that we don't care about what haters say anymore,
Yeah.
we're forcing the Mark into the atmosphere, and he's going to probably be doing some things when we finish the HAA reboot. We've got some lessons and things that he wants to add as well.
Yes.
So it's gonna be fun.
Awesome.
But so obviously, like I said, you grew really fast. I mean, even if you would have started actually selling your cards in 2019, getting over 1,000 sales in that short period of time, that is very, very fast growth. What do you think the number one thing that you've been doing in your shop or in marketing or, SEO, what do you think the number one thing is that has helped you to get as many sales as you have in such a short period of time?
Social media, I have almost no presence. I have like 175 followers on Instagram and stuff. I have it just doesn't click for me.
Mm-hmm.
The HAA, I think it does different things for different people. It's the same course, but people get different things out of it. One thing that helped me tremendously was self-confidence and confidence in my choices, that I didn't overthink things and do what I was supposed to do. It's not supposed to be this way. I have to do it this way because that's how it's supposed to be. I learned how to trust myself, trust my gut. And that cannot never be overestimated or underestimated, I guess, is that your gut tells you a lot. You just have to listen to it. So I think that has a lot to do with it. The fact that I don't have to spend a lot of time on decisions, because this is what I want. This is what I want my shop to do. Is this decision going to make this happen? Is it going to keep it this way? If not, then no. If it is, then yes, I need to work on this. So HA has helped me tremendously with that. I think that, along with the slide files that you gave us, help a lot. My customers, I'm like such an introvert, and so talking to people, outside of computer, I'm like, okay, two people outside. But when you're on the computer, it's a totally different world. So you type, you have conversations and all kinds of stuff. It's not super awkward. And my customers love to talk, apparently. So, so I'll have outright conversations with my customers, and it's amazing because they'll tell me their stories. They'll say, why they're buying this card, why they're doing this. Aww. And it's a huge deal because these people are me, they're my people. So they're buying these things for their sister, for their mom, for their, all these special people in their lives, and I'm super close to my family. So I've been getting numerous repeat buyers because the swipe files open up communication. They feel like Absolutely. If I message them even one time, it opens everything up, and they'll start talking to me, and in their reviews, they'll say, she was so nice. We've had a conversation. She even wrote a note, all this kind of stuff. And then I think it's just been just a few things together. The decision-making process being streamlined, because I'm listening to myself rather than what I'm supposed to do, communication, and you teach us how to make our shop and ourselves more approachable with announcements about me, about all these different sections that a lot of people overlook the importance of it, and they think that people just don't care. That's wrong. And it may be because of who your customers are. It could be. But I find that everything that I've done based on HAA, you know, all the processes that you've taught us to do, what to write, not what to write, but you know what I mean. It makes us more approachable, and it makes my shop more me. And that's what I want. I want people to think that, you know, I'm nobody fancy. Like, I don't need fancy things. You know, I'm just me, and I'm not a fancy person. I just, and that's how I want my customers to view me. I don't want them to feel like I'm standoffish or, you know, I'm like a legit business. I mean, like I am, but I don't feel like I am. I'm just a person.
That's how everybody feels too, though. Like you just want your customers to see you like a person, but it's inevitable that as you grow, you start to not be a person anymore.
Right. Yeah. And that's another thing, is that somebody mentioned once that they, whether it was when they're communicating, whether they say we or I with their business, I'm I all the way.
Oh yeah.
All the way. I want people to know I'm one person. You know, if nothing else, it keeps them from being super unreasonable or anything. They know that there's just one person taking care of everything. And it's also very impressive to people. So if you're good on everything that you do, you're like, wow, this person's got it together. No, I really don't. It just seems like I do. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's just been a few different things together that I think have helped me, but none of it would have been possible without HAA. Every single part of it has been helped with HAA, or even let me see that it was important. It's totally things that you would just overlook, but everything is important. Every small thing is important to different people. This person may not think that that's important, but it is to this person. So you're going to have to, you know, make all the decisions and base it on, you really have to figure out who your target market is, because if you don't, decisions are going to be a whole lot harder to make.
Absolutely. And that's why that's like the first thing that we tackle.
I know.
You know who that target customer is, your branding comes more naturally, your customer communication comes more naturally, any marketing that you do, even keyword research comes more naturally, because you know exactly the type of person that you're trying to reach out to. And I know that, you know, you've said it multiple times that you're more of the introverted business owner, but when you look at your storefront, I don't get those vibes at all. And I can understand why people are messaging you and like, oh, my best friend, Erin, you know, they feel that way because you're just so out there in your branding. Even your banner, you've got the picture of yourself with like your little sword, and you're super duper like goofy and fun. And that's your whole brand. So I think that's what makes it, you know, that's what ties it all together. But
I'm introverted, but at the same time, I allow myself for people to see the actual me. So like the me that my husband sees or my children see. So, you know, so I am the goofy person. You know, you never would know one unless like you really know me. But that is me. It's just.
But I mean, you've changed your products. You've took a little while, but implemented some of the stuff with HAA, and it's like she said, you exploded in growth, like kind of out of nowhere. So if there was anything that you could tell your past self when you were starting your business, what would you say to your past self to maybe help yourself along a little bit? Like, what would you do differently?
If you could time travel back to little 2019 Erin.
What would you do different?
That's a hard question.
That's the one that all the alphas have had trouble with too.
It's a hard one, because you've done the things that you want to do and you have plans for things that you want to do, but you don't know which of those things is like the thing that you needed to know, you know?
I guess one thing that I would need to know is that you will never stop growing. And people say that all the time, but you don't know what that means until you're in it. So even if I told myself that, I still wouldn't understand really what it meant.
Right.
Because I have over 1,000 sales, and it's funny because I used to look at the stores with 1,000 sales and you're like, whoa, like they got it together, like they sell all the time, all the stuff. And now that I'm here, I'm like, that's not it at all, like at all. I
You're
still
not
feel
the
like
first person to say that.
Yeah,
yeah,
we
and
have
I still feel like a newbie, like I don't know what I'm doing, that I'm just like, whatever. Um, so it's funny because it's, even though I've grown a whole bunch, I can see like how much more I have to. Like it's crazy. So I mean, I would tell myself to expect to keep growing, that it may not go as quickly as you want it to, but it's going. Look at the positives along the way rather than the negatives, because there's always something good to look at. So, lately traffic has been a little down for everybody, but I've noticed even though my views and visits are a little down, my orders and my revenue have gone up, which people, is kind of weird, but it's amazing to me. Like, I'm excited about it because it means that the right people are seeing my stuff now. It's just I need to get more people to see it. But now that I've gotten to a point where I visually can see that the right people are starting to see my stuff because I have fewer views but more orders, I'm like, okay, and now I've found the right people. They found me. This is what I need to do now. I haven't even finished 𝔸𝕒𝕒𝕒𝕒 yet.
Most of the alphas we've interviewed haven't, because they're like, I got to a point where I couldn't keep up anymore.
I'm just too busy. I got too many things that I need to keep doing before I can get back into it.
Right. Yeah. It's like you find something like, wait, before I do this, I need to do this. And before I do that, I need to do that. And so you get so, like, not behind, but just busy that you're like, it's hard to get to a point where you're like, okay, everything is in a row. My ducks are in a row, then I can keep going. Like, that's not how it happens.
It's like successfully behind.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's a good behind, like you're behind, but in what way?
Everybody loves a good behind.
I think it's I think it's just that once you start working with organized material, and this goes for any kind of organized material like 𝔸𝕒𝕒𝕒, you start to narrow down your process and find the correct order of operations for how you want to run your business. It's more
inner operations.
Yeah, it helps you become more organized and develop your own process throughout, like having everything. Yeah. And because you have it presented to you, you're not thinking, oh, do I need to do this, or what should I do with this? You know everything that you need to do now. So you're able to build your own process and start doing things more quickly. And then you end up putting more and more and more tasks on because you can accomplish more in a shorter period of time. And then you just don't have time to do anything else. So I 100% get that.
Before you get to that point, you just feel like a chicken with your head cut off. You're just running around doing whatever, and then you get to a point where you're like, oh, I need to like chill out a little bit because I only need to do this and this and this, and then to worry about that. So it's not, everything is a big deal anymore. It's like, these things are more important than these things. So you kind of just figure it out.
Absolutely. And everybody's priorities are going to be different. Like, for example, you said that like social media obviously isn't your like big, huge thing that you're not one of those people who's like, oh my God, I got to post a reel every day at 4 p.m.
I'm terrible.
Don't worry. She's the one that does the, I'm the same way. I'm horrible with social media. I'm awful at it. It's all her.
So now that we're kind of getting towards the end, we've asked every alpha that we've interviewed, if you were talking to somebody who was thinking about joining 𝔸𝕒𝕒𝕒 and they were feeling nervous or apprehensive, because obviously 𝔸𝕒𝕒𝕒, it is a big expense, it's a big commitment, it's a lot of time to get through the program. And obviously you know that because you haven't even been able to get through it because you're so busy. What would you tell somebody though who was thinking about joining, who might be nervous?
I would say look inside yourself and make sure that you're actually going to put in the work. Because if you're not going to, then it's not worth the money. If you only, half-ass it or whatever, you're not going to get the same results as other people that are just on and on and on and on and all the time, you get out what you put in. That's it. But so if you don't think that you're going to actually do it, don't waste the money.
Yeah,
That's the same thing that we've said kind of from the get-go. Like, we know the material works. We don't make any guarantees that the material will work, because it's kind of up to you to make the material work. It's not things that we've pulled out of our butts. It's material that is from proven psychology. It's from books and studies and things that have been proven. So we know that they work. It's just a matter of, like you said, putting in the work to make it happen.
Right. And I mean, not that I'm hating on all the alphas that are like, when I ask this question and they're like, I would tell everybody to suck it up and just do it, you know.
No, because that's everybody has their own opinion on things.
Right. And that's great. But what I value more is when we're realistic about this, and realistic about, yes, it's a big expense and it is a lot of time, and the time is absolutely worth it. And yes, most people can do it, even if it takes them a long time. But there are some people who know that it's not something that they'll be able to commit to. And for someone like that, like you said, it's probably not a good choice for them. Awesome. So as we are wrapping up, do you have any final words of inspiration, motivation, anything that you would like to share with alphas who might need, you know, some words of wisdom from Erin before we say goodbye?
I mean, I can only give words of wisdom from what I've gotten out of HAA, and that is to trust your gut.
Oh, that's good.
Literally the biggest obstacle for me was trusting myself, trusting my gut. Once I did that, no problem. So believe in yourself, trust your gut. Any decisions you make, it's not the end of the world if you get it wrong. You can change your mind. It's okay.
No decisions are permanent. Everything is figure outable.
Yeah, when you're in that, you think, you're like, oh my God, if I get the wrong thing, then what? Then you did the wrong thing and you make a different decision and you start again from that decision. So, but you know, you've gotten everything else up until that point. So you still have something accomplished. You just got to figure out the next one. So make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes during this whole process. But once you start to trust yourself in your gut, you make fewer of them.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. All of Erin's links will be down below, and we'll see you next week on our next alpha interview. Bye-bye.